If you're about to buy a house and you are on the final stretch of that purchase because you've done a lot of work to get up to this point, this video is about closing day. We're going to talk about what to expect on closing day, what you need to bring, and then finally what you need to do immediately after you buy the house. So stay tuned and let's dive in. All right, so before closing day, you should have already reviewed the closing disclosure. We have another video on how to read that closing disclosure right there, and you should have set up some time to go do a final walkthrough of the property. But on closing day, what should you expect when you get there? There's really 3 steps to this process, and it's super simple. You might get a little bit of a hand cramp signing your name over and over and over again, but number 1, it's funding. Either before the day of closing, you should wire the money to the title company. In Texas, we use title companies to purchase the home. Or option number 2, you can bring a cashier's check, in which case you go to your bank physically and you get a cashier's check. Usually you pay about $8 to $10. They're putting their stamp on it saying these funds are good and they can be transferred immediately. And you bring that paper cashier's check to closing with you, okay? Number 2, you're going to be going through and signing a number of documents to both transfer the deed and also documents for the loan that the lender requires to get that done. Once it's all done, those documents get also signed by the seller and then sent to your lender to be reviewed. Sometimes they may have 1 or 2 documents that need to be filled out in addition, maybe the last minute they forgot. We get that done and they give us the stamp, essentially that funding. That funding is then sent to the title company or the escrow agent that basically receives those funds. And the escrow agent will distribute those funds to the seller. Once that is done, that's when you get the keys. So it's not usually all at the same time. Sometimes the buyer and the seller will close at different times during the day. You may show up, sign all your paperwork, hand your money, and then wait, and it may take some time to fund. And occasionally, a lender may actually even not get all of the funds wired before the cutoff to transfer wires occurs. So in some cases, you might sign all the papers one day, and then the next day, they actually fund the transaction. And again, after the funding, that's when you receive the keys. That's technically when you own that property. All right, so let's talk about what you need to bring to closing on closing day. Number 1, make sure you bring your photo ID. Remember, you're buying a house, they need to verify that it's actually you buying this house and there's a notary there. So driver's license, passports, or some sort of US government ID, like a green card or so on and so forth that has your photo on it, will be necessary to purchase that house. Number 2 will be funds. Have that money wired to the title company beforehand or bring that cashier's check with you on closing day. And number 3, bring a personal checkbook. This is important because sometimes your lender is going back and forth with title and they missed a couple of dollars here or there and they need an extra check for a few dollars to move that across. A personal check is acceptable for a small amount of money, not acceptable for a down payment. So the down payment must be with a wire or it must be with a cashier's check that is certified by the bank. And the checkbook is just to pick up the extra little few dollars here. Maybe usually it's under a couple $100 would be an error margin that they have to adjust for last minute. So that's something to make sure you have with you. Last of all here, we need to have proof of insurance. You're buying the house, you need to make sure that you're showing the proof of your insurance. So make sure you plan ahead, bring that with you. That way we're all buttoned up. The lender has all the documentation they need to give you those funds for that house. And then if you would like to make sure that what you received in the closing disclosure and what's on the contract is what you're signing in front of you, bring a copy of those with you to closing as well. We'll be happy to walk through and explain those things. And the title companies that we work with are also very good at talking through what to expect on closing. Fantastic, you're ready to close. And these are the 6 things you need to do right after you close. Keep in mind that after you close, there's several important things to do. Number 1, starting with utilities. Make sure you get your water, electric, and gas turned on. One key tip here for water, they can turn on your water remotely without you being there. However, I recommend that you send somebody out to the property just to make sure nobody left the faucet running or something leaking and running that could flood the house or cause damage. So have someone there for that. Gas, they're gonna actually require somebody to be there with you. And if you get your laundry and other kinds of things installed, your dryer as an example, they can actually check all those connections for you as well. So that might be something you do even after you get a few appliances installed. But electric and water, you'll want to turn on early to make sure you can clean things and get the air running. Number 2 is get your USPS mail to forward mail to your new address. I think you got to pay like a nominal fee, like $1 or $5 or something like that, and they will forward all mail sent to your old address with your name on it conveniently to your new property. This is fantastic to get you over the hump here in the next few days, but you will want to remember to go in and update all your bills and your work address, because they're going to send you those things once a year, like your W-2 and other important documents, that you just want to make sure that they come to the right address and not to the wrong address after that mail forwarding expires. So update those as well. Number 4, go ahead and change your locks to the house. That way no friends or neighbors or whoever had the key to your house has the key to your house. You know who has the key to your house. And number 5, make sure you file for homestead exemption. This is actually a really easy process to do in Texas. You're gonna get a bunch of mailers after you moved in saying, hey, send this, I don't know, $75, $100 fee so that you can file your homestead exemption. You don't need to do that. It's free, and it's actually more work to fill out those forms and pay them to do the work than it is to just go in, fill out the form, and send it in yourself. So file for homestead exemption. Driver's license and vehicle registration. This is something that most people forget. You do need to update your driver's license to the proper address, and usually you're gonna need that when you're applying for a loan or something down the road, and you have that, oh shoot, moment, you have to update those. So update those, and you are now ready to close. Are you excited? I sure hope you are. We will see you at the closing table.